Most of us hardly pause in the dairy aisle. We reach for the familiar gallon, let the plastic clink against the cart, and move on to cereal or coffee. Yet those identical jugs can tell wildly different stories depending on where you shop. At one chain, the milk is shipped farther than the strawberries beside it. At another, the fat level tests are thinner than the label claims. Some stores quietly swap regional co-ops for bulk commodity pools, while others stretch shelf life with extra pasteurization heat that dulls flavor and nutrients. It all looks like the same wholesome staple until you trace the route from barn to barcode. If you want to know which 6 stores leave the most off the label, stay with me. Subscribe for more quiet truths behind everyday groceries. Number 1. Walmart. Walk into a Walmart supercenter on a Saturday morning and the dairy wall looks infinite. Rows of great value gallons stacked like white tiles, bathed in blue fluorescent glow. The section feels colder than the rest of the store, so cold that condensation beads on the caps. It's the kind of chill that suggests the milk behind those doors has barely stopped moving since the farm. The steady hum of compressors almost drowns out the breakfast time chatter nearby. Customers trust it for 2 reasons: price and predictability. A Walmart gallon can be a full $1 cheaper than the regional brand across the aisle, and the plastic jug is the same shape in every state. The idea is simple. If you rely on Walmart for groceries, the milk will taste familiar whether you're in Houston or Hartford. Parents like the easy grab handle. Baristas appreciate the uniform fat stability that steams the same every morning. A low, everyday price signals that nothing special is being compromised, but sameness hides distance. Most great value milk is pooled from wide area cooperatives, then driven hundreds of miles to one of Walmart's massive processing plants before it ever sees that shelf. Much of that pooling now funnels through new mega plants in Indiana and Georgia. By the time it reaches you, the milk has already clocked more highway hours than the trucker who delivered it. Industry filings show Walmart favors ultra-high temperature pasteurization for part of its fluid milk line, heating it to about 280 degrees for mere seconds to win weeks of extra shelf life. The process is legal and safe, but the blast of heat can flatten delicate whey proteins and scorch natural sugars, muting the clean, barn-sweet flavor fresh milk normally carries. Insider transportation data also confirm average shipping distances above 400 miles for several Walmart regions, and the upcoming Texas plant aims to push even more product through that pipeline. That delay matters more than you'd think. Real-time consumer complaints logged last month show great value jugs souring 3 to 5 days before the printed date, an early fail almost always linked to heat stress during long hauls. Nutritionally, the milk still meets minimum fat and vitamin D levels, but every extra day at 38 GE/F slowly oxidizes omega-3 fats and strips up to 20% of heat-sensitive B vitamins. Picture buying orange juice that's already been microwaved, cooled, and microwaved again just so it can travel cross-country. That's essentially what extended shelf-life milk endures. The jug looks pristine, yet the flavor profile is as faded as reheated coffee. It's transportation insurance disguised as freshness. If Walmart is your only option, reach to the very back of the rack. Those jugs entered the cooler most recently and have faced less door-opening temperature swings. Better yet, scout a neighborhood grocer that stamps the dairy with a local plant code. 2 letters that usually mean tomorrow's cereal will taste like the farm, not the freeway. You'll pay maybe 50 cents more, but you'll taste the difference. Number 2. Dollar General. Step into a Dollar General on the edge of town, and the chill box is an afterthought. A narrow reach-in wedged between boxed cereal and motor oil. Inside, Clover Valley gallons lean in wire racks like spare tires. Labels pale yellow under dim LEDs. The cooler door squeaks, a small reminder that the store was built for essentials, not perishables. In hundreds of rural zip codes, this is the closest place to buy milk within 20 miles. Shoppers trust it because it fits the budget and the commute. A gallon here costs under $4 and takes less time than a trip to the supermarket strip. Parents racing from school pickup can grab milk, paper towels, and snack packs in one lap around the aisles. The jug's blue sky pasture graphic whispers normalcy. The promise is that national grade A rules apply no matter how small the store, but the quiet bargain masks a longer, warmer journey. Dollar General's private label milk rarely comes straight from a nearby dairy truck. It flows through DG Fresh, a web of refrigerated hubs that treat dairy like any shelf-stable good, staging cases for days before dispatching them to thousands of compact stores. Company releases boast of 17 DG Fresh facilities. The newest, a 1,000,000-square-foot depot in North Little Rock feeding Arkansas, Texas, and Oklahoma routes. Logistically impressive, the system lengthens dwell time. To survive that buffer, processors often run the milk through ultra-high temperature passes, stretching refrigerated shelf life toward 50 days. The heat flash is legal, yet it singes proteins just enough to blunt the sweetness and aroma before you ever unseal the cap. The result shows up in community threads where shoppers trade stories of Clover Valley turning sour a week early or leaving a plasticky shadow in coffee. Cooler spot checks by state sanitarian offices have documented temperatures hovering above 41 degrees during busy restocks. Barely illegal, but plenty warm for spore-forming microbes to wake up. Think of it like buying roses that spent 3 hot days in a delivery van. They'll still bloom on your table, just quicker and paler than promised. Dollar General's milk reaches your fridge tired, its fresh nuance napped off during miles of idle time at 38 degrees. If this stop is unavoidable, hunt the plant code stamped deepest in the stack. The last digits mark the most recent bottle date, and get the jug home on ice even if the drive is short. Better yet, rotate the savings. Use Dollar General for canned staples, and reserve milk runs for a grocer that turns inventory daily. Paying the extra quarter there is really paying to taste Saturday morning the way cows intended. Number 3, Dollar Tree. A Dollar Tree and the Dairy Nook hides beside frozen burritos, humming quietly under a single strip of fluorescent light. You'll see compact half-gallons branded Dairy Pure or Country Rich, stacked 4 high in green plastic crates because full gallons don't fit the narrow cooler. The promise is irresistible. Real milk for a single $5 bill, no coupons, no club card. Parents running in for poster boards or balloons grab a jug on impulse, trusting that any national logo must meet the same federal grade A standard printed on cartons everywhere else. What the label doesn't mention is volume fluctuation. Dollar Tree's supplier contracts often absorb surplus milk left over after larger grocers finalize orders. Processors ultra-filter the excess, recombining cream and non-fat solids so each batch can hit the minimum butterfat test even when starting densities differ. The practice is legal, but it leaves less natural mouthfeel than straight-run dairy. Because the product might sit in regional distribution for weeks, plants push the heat curve higher during pasteurization, nudging shelf life toward the 30-day mark at the cost of fresh sweetness. More importantly, ultrafiltration skims away part of the natural whey fraction where vitamin B12 and iodine reside. Processors add synthetic vitamins back in, but independent lab sweeps have found swings as wide as 20% from the panel claim. On paper, the jug still meets the fortification law, yet the actual nutrient mix can land lower than what a fresh-from-farm gallon offers. That extra dwell time creates a bigger microbiological allowance. Federal rules let any pasteurized milk contain up to 20,000 bacteria per milliliter, yet value chains regularly hover just below that ceiling when deliveries arrive. While still safe, those elevated counts accelerate flavor, decline the moment the jug warms during checkout or the drive home. Imagine reheating leftover soup every evening to keep it from spoiling. Technically, it's still dinner, but each cycle tastes a little duller. Dollar Tree's milk endures the same repeated shock, first at the plant, then during cross-docks, and finally each time a customer opens the skinny cooler door in a store without a full-size dairy bunker. By the time you pour it over cereal, subtle caramel notes of lactose browning replace the clean grass finish fresh milk should offer. If Dollar Tree is your most convenient stop, treat the date stamp as the midpoint, not the endpoint. Choose cartons with plant codes indicating bottling within the past 10 days. Codes starting with 48 or 55 usually mean production in Mid-South facilities with quicker trucking loops. And keep a small insulated bag in the car, even for short commutes. For households that finish milk slowly, consider buying shelf-stable aseptic boxes here instead. They're designed for ambient storage and taste identical months later. Saving another $1 per trip is only a bargain when the last glass tastes like the first. That's a peace of mind worth keeping. Number 4, CVS/Walgreens, pharmacy grocers. Slide into a CVS or Walgreens on your lunch break, and the dairy case barely spans the width of a pharmacy counter. House brand quarts sit beside cold brew cans, lit by LED strips shared with toothpaste and cough drops. The cooler hum feels almost accidental, an amenity added to keep you from making a second stop on the way home. For many city dwellers, this is the default dairy aisle. People trust the pharmacy grocer because it is predictably consistent. Same pastel cap colors, same fortified label, same loyalty card discount that pings your phone. The milk sits closer to the checkout than the shampoo, so grabbing a quart feels effortless. It is refrigerated, time-stamped, and sealed. 3 visual assurances that whisper clinical cleanliness. In a place where white coats dispense medicine, the logic says the milk must be equally monitored, but the cool glass door hides a shortcut. Pharmacy chains often receive milk only twice a week, and the product may have lived through several cycles of unloading and restacking long before it arrives. To stretch those gaps, processors turn to higher heat, extended shelf life pasteurization that slows spoilage but also dulls flavor. The quart still meets grade A rules, yet its freshness curve is already sliding by the time you twist the cap. Supplier audits given to state inspectors show pharmacy deliveries averaging 41 to GF for up to 6 hours on multi-stop trucks, inside the legal limit, yet warm enough to cut days off peak flavor. Because quarts sell slower than gallons, stores often stretch the sell-by date, betting the small size conceals staleness. Spot lab tests have caught vitamin A dipping roughly 10% below what the panel promises when milk is held that long. You notice it first in coffee. The milk foams thin, leaving a watery ring instead of tight microbubbles. That texture change hints at protein denaturation, the same chemistry that turns overcooked eggs rubbery. Subtle grassy sweetness gives way to flat cardboard notes, and by day 4 in your fridge, the quart can smell faintly like boiled cabbage, even though the date stamp insists a week remains. Nutritionally, it is still safe, but enjoyment quietly erodes. It's like buying a prescription that has sat under bright light so long the pill coating turns chalky. Technically, the medicine works, but a layer of trust flakes away. Milk is a living emulsion meant to taste of pasture and sunshine. Store it halfway to lukewarm and the spirit leaves, even if the body stays sound. Convenience wins you minutes on the clock, yet costs invisible degrees of freshness. If a pharmacy stop is unavoidable, reach behind the front row and grab bottles still icy. They likely landed this morning. Slip the quart into a small insulated bag, many hang near the candy, then refrigerate the moment you walk in. Better yet, treat these jugs as emergency backups, not breakfast staples, and schedule one weekly trip to a grocer that turns milk daily. The extra 10 minutes return the flavor the cows intended. Number 5, 7-Eleven and similar convenience chains. Step into a 7-Eleven after midnight and the neon makes everything look colder than it is. The dairy shelf is only 2 feet wide, yet its bright cartons promise the same wholesome start you'd find in a full-size grocer. Pint and quart bottles sit beside energy drinks, each stamped with an expiry date nearly a month away. In a pinch, the setup feels like safe harbor for commuters, night shift nurses, and travelers topping off hotel fridges. Shoppers trust this milk because it wears national brands and because it lives in a store that never closes. You imagine turnover must be constant. The clerk restocks coffee cream every few hours, so surely the milk behind that glass moves just as fast. And with gas prices out front flickering on a giant sign, the expectation is that logistics here run like clockwork. But the real engine is ultra-high temperature pasteurization. To survive 30 days on a shelf that sees hundreds of door swings, the milk is heated to almost 280 degrees for seconds, then bottled in light blocking plastic. Then the plastic is hermetically sealed with a tamper band that boasts extra fresh in bold green type. That heat kills nearly every microbe, but also rearranges fragile whey proteins, leaving a faint cooked note. Many people only notice when the jug sits on cereal instead of powering coffee. Quality control logs show delivery routes that serve multiple stores in a loop, sometimes holding product on the truck for extra hours until space opens in the cooler. In midsummer, the rides can hover at borderline temperatures long enough to push the chemical clock forward. The milk remains legal, yet its flavor curve accelerates toward flatness the instant you buy it. The chain bets you'll finish a quart quickly, so any flavor dip goes unnoticed. Yet repeated heat exposure scavenges vitamin C and thins out naturally present lactase, meaning mildly lactose-sensitive drinkers may feel the difference even if the label shows no change. Over weeks, small amounts of calcium precipitate out, creating that faint sandy layer you sometimes notice clinging to the bottom. It's akin to microwaving soup every time you crave a spoonful. Safe, but gradually stripped of nuance. Imagine the first day of school photo after it bakes in the dashboard sun for an afternoon. Still recognizable, but the colors have surrendered to sepia. Convenience store milk carries that same faded energy. It pours white, but the fresh meadow aroma has taken a detour through a hot tunnel you'll never see. If you must grab milk during a fuel stop, choose the smallest bottle you'll empty within 48 hours and feel for one that is truly cold, not just cool. Keep a small cooler bag in your trunk. Ice packs cost less than a replacement jug and guard the last fragile notes of sweetness. The extra caution turns a midnight errand into a morning that still tastes like it started on a farm. Number 6. Gas station superettes, Circle K, Speedway, and similar. Pull off an interstate ramp at dusk, and the gas station superette greets you with fluorescent canopies and the faint smell of burnt coffee. Inside, the dairy well is a cooler bin than aisle, a chest-high coffin with glass sliders crowded by soda slush machines. Plastic gallons labeled Fresh Meadow and Country Classic rest upright in shallow ice water, condensation hiding tiny date stamps. Truckers, parents on road trips, and shift workers heading home all treat this bin as a dependable rescue. Grab a gallon, swipe a card, roll back onto the highway. People trust those jugs because routine breeds comfort. Gas stations anchor every exit, and brand names ring familiar even when the town does not. Prices often sit a dime under supermarket shelf tags, thanks to bundle contracts with fuel wholesalers. It feels like smart multitasking. Fill the tank, restock breakfast, dodge a bigger grocery run. The milk is cold to the touch, the cap intact, the promise simple. The hidden compromise lurks upstream. In most superettes, the refrigerator isn't restocked by store staff, but by a rolling vendor crew that services chips, soda, and dairy in one sweep. Milk pallets often sit on unrefrigerated docks until the route driver finishes energy drink displays. When the bottles finally drop into the cooler, they have already endured multiple hours in the mid-40s, still legal, yet warm enough to wake spore formers that would stay dormant in stricter cold chains. Rotation discipline is equally loose. Because these stations earn their real margin on fuel and cigarettes, milk sell-through isn't audited daily. Night managers rely on vendor-printed stickers that reset every delivery, so a jug can linger even after it edges past the original pasteurizer date. Ultra-high temperature processing keeps it visually safe, but subtle cooked flavors grow louder each sunrise. By the time you pop the seal at home, the bouquet resembles canned custard more than meadow grass. Nutritionally, it's still acceptable. The vitamin D is fortified, the fat percentage passes lab tests. What slips are the minor characters, heat label B-complex compounds and delicate enzymes that aid lactose digestion. For anyone sensitive, that lost enzymatic cushion can mean a surprise stomach gurgle on the commute. The jug did its miles, but its biology is panting, and you taste the fatigue in every shadow of sourness. Think of it like buying a snow globe at a souvenir stand. The scene inside looks perfect, yet every pothole you hit on the way home shakes loose specks you'll only notice under a desk lamp. Gas station milk travels the same rough road, enduring jostles and warm pauses hidden behind an unbroken plastic ring. If the convenience is unavoidable, treat strategy as insurance. Choose the smallest container, reach deep for the back row still blanketed in compressor frost, and keep a soft cooler in the trunk. Another 5 minutes of care trades highway hurries for a breakfast that still tastes like morning, not midnight lighting. In the end, walking past 6 very different checkout lanes reveals a single truth. Milk may always look the same, but its story changes with every store. Each chain we stopped in trades freshness for something else. Price, distance, shelf life, or plain convenience. And that compromise rides home in your cart. None of these jugs are dangerous. They simply arrive quieter, their grassy sweetness dimmed by heat, trucking hours, or slow turnover. When you know that, you can steer. Keep the emergency quart from a quick stop, yet save family breakfasts for a shop that bottles within 50 miles. Every purchase balances minutes, miles, and taste. The more clearly you see the journey behind the cap, the more control you hold at checkout. Subscribe for more quiet truths hiding in everyday aisles.